morning, dear students. I welcome you all to the next session of the Dolphins. I hope that the first session of the analysis of the poem The Dolphins by Carroll and Duffy has been clear to you. Before we begin with the third and the fourth stanzas, let us do a quick recapitulation of the first two stanzas and the key points enshrined in them. Sense of being displaced from the natural habitat, the ocean, no chance of survival outside the narrow confines of the man-made pool, actions of one dolphin mirroring the other dolphin's movements, surrender to the domination of the trainer, negligible changes recorded by the skins of the dolphins, compulsion to adapt to the changed circumstances, and finally, utter monotony of existence which is completely controlled by their master. If you wish, you can take a screenshot of the recapitulation of the first two stanzas. Alright, now we know that the dolphins have been displaced from their natural habitat, the ocean, to the man-made pool. Trapped by poachers, the dolphins have no other choice except to obey the dictates of their trainer, that is, the man who is standing over them, watching each and every move. And the feeling of hopelessness that the dolphins experience is very well expressed in the third and the fourth stanzas, which continues with the thread that was started in the previous two stanzas. I'll read out the third stanza for you. And now we are no longer blessed, for the world will not deepen to dream in. The other knows, and out of love reflects me for myself. We see our silver skin flash by like memory of somewhere else. There is a colored ball. We have to balance till the man has disappeared. Right away at the beginning of the third stanza, we find a repetition of the thought that was mentioned in the second stanza. That is, we are blessed and now we are not blessed. Why are they not blessed anymore? Because they have been taken away from the vast expanse of the ocean. And the world that they now inhabit is the man-made pool, which is a narrow, shallow, extremely limited entity. And they say that the world is not going to deepen. The pool is not going to magically expand its boundaries for them to be able to dream in. Now, the word dream does not have to be taken literally, It means enjoying their life. You see, there's a big difference between simply existing and living. When you live, you enjoy your life. Whereas when you exist, you are simply keeping your body and soul together, which is what the dolphins are forced to do. The other knows, and out of love reflects me for myself. This statement, my dear children, this seems to be a direct reference to the feeling of empathy which the dolphins experience for each other. And it's therefore a huge lesson for the human race. What does the word empathy mean? It means being able to feel exactly what the other person is feeling. And since both dolphins are entrapped in the aquarium, they can feel the other's pain, the other's isolation, the other's feeling of alienation. And therefore, there is utter synchronization. There is a lot of camaraderie between the two dolphins. Next, we see a silver skin flash by like memory of somewhere else. Nostalgia, the feeling of missing your past and missing it keenly and wishing that it could come back to you. It could be your present, grips them hard. And that is what this line seems to be talking about. Let us see. We see a silver skin flash by. Now why silver skin flash? Because when the light bounces off their skins, it gives a silvery sheen, and when they see their reflection in the glass of the man-made pool or the aquarium, they are immediately reminded, memory you see, they are immediately reminded of the sunlight that would bounce off their bodies when they would be frolicking and enjoying their lives in the limitless waters of the ocean. So somewhere else is a clear-cut allusion or reference to the ocean. Following up, there is a colored ball we have to balance till the man has disappeared. Unfortunately, reality strikes them hard. And how does it do so? When they realize that they cannot wallow in anguish, they cannot wallow in feeling sorry for their past, which is no longer there, which cannot ever come back. But what do they have to do? They have to balance a colored ball on their snouts, and they have to keep doing so till the man, that is their trainer, decides that enough of entertainment of the audience. Let us now close the act. Let us now call it a day, and decides to leave the scene. It is only then that the dolphins can be allowed to rest. But that rest, my dear children, is only for the time being. I hope the third stanza is clear to you. Let us take a look at the key points in stanza 3. There's a sense of loss for their home. Obviously, they are homesick. Don't you boys feel homesick when you are away from your home? When what you feel is your comfort zone. So, the dolphins also feel a sense of loss. Similarly, they feel there's a lack of direction. Where would they find direction in that monotonous activity that they are forced to do for the sake of the entertainment of the human species, that too in the narrow and shallow pool? Obviously, there's mutual understanding and camaraderie between the two dolphins. Next, nostalgia evinced in their silver-skinned flash. Why? Because it is only when they see themselves being reflected in the glass of the aquarium are they reminded of their happy days in the vast waters of the ocean. And finally, compulsion to act at their master's behest till his exit, till his departure. If you wish, you can take a screenshot of the key points in stanza 3. Alright, let's go on to stanza 4. Nowhere, I repeat, nowhere is the tone of sadness, the feeling of panic, of utter desolation, of claustrophobia so hard-hitting as it is in the 4th stanza. Though it is there right from the beginning, but it is the stanza 4, the last stanza of this poem, which seems to bring out the poignancy of the situation of the dolphins. What does the dolphin say? The moon has disappeared. How sad. They are not just displaced from their natural habitat, but they have been forced to stay away from the benign influence of heavenly bodies like the moon. And what has that got replaced with? An artificial man-made object? A plastic toy? What a poor substitute. The pain, the sarcasm of the dolphin's predicament grips us even harder when we look at the next line. We circle well-worn grooves of water on a single note. Here, in this metaphorical statement, you find that the dolphins are forced to go on jumping through hoops, balancing ball on the tips of their snouts, on their noses, and doing it on the same grooves. What are grooves? Grooves are indentations or marks that you make on a surface. And what surface is that? The water of the pool, the surface of the pool. So they have to keep encircling that too on a single Now, what could that note be? Just think of any show of a circus which you may have got on screen. There is a trainer and there's a whistle. You're right. So, the repetitive note caused by the blowing of the whistle, that too at one pitch, that is the single note. So if the monotony of the space is not enough, if the monotony of the activities that they have to do is not enough, then the single note seems to be the final nail in their coffin. Music of lost forever from the other's heart, which turns my own to stone. What a powerful, what an evocative statement of the dolphin's sorrow. The mourning cry that is emitted by one dolphin seems to be piercing the other dolphin's heart and turning it to stone. What a powerful, heart-rending imagery. There is a plastic toy and they cannot help but move on and look at what next they have to do. And what is that? They have to balance a toy. They have to play with a toy because this is the demand of the audience. There is no hope. There is no hope. Yes, the finality of this situation is so much evinced in this statement. Why? Because they can realize that there can never be any escape for them. We sing to the limits of the spool until the whistle blows. What are the dolphins supposed to do? They have to plumb down to the depths, to the very floor of the pool of the aquarium, and then go up towards the surface of the water and then jump through either hoops or balance the plastic toy. And they have to keep doing it repetitively till the whistle blows, signaling the end of the performance. But is any signal going to be given for their release from captivity? Unfortunately, no. There is a man and our mind knows we will die here. The final slap in the face of the human species seems to be given in the last statement. There is a man, there is always the man, a trainer, who is keeping a tight leash on their activities and making them realize, accept that they will keep performing till they will die there. Try to relate the situation of the dolphins to what many of us are perhaps experiencing in this present scenario. From shock, disbelief, anger, to finally acceptance and surrender that staying at home is for our own safety. But this parallel, the similarity ends here, because here it is not good for the dolphin's survival. Right? If you wish, you can take a screenshot of stanza 4. Let us look at the key points in stanza 4. Natural objects like moon replaced with poor substitutes like a plastic ball. Bleak and hopeless future. For whom? For obviously dolphins. Empathy for its fellow sufferers. Physical sinking to the pool's depth, symbolic of the loss of infinite possibilities. Right? Their world is very limited. And finally, utter despair over an inescapable fate. If you wish, you can take a screenshot of the key points in stanza 4 as well. Now let us look at the literary techniques and devices employed throughout the poem. As mentioned in the previous class, the poet Carol Ann Duffy has effectively used the technique of dramatic monologue and anthropomorphism. What is dramatic monologue? A speech in which a speaker gives clues to the activities of the silent listener. Who is the speaker here? In fact, who are the speakers here? It is the two dolphins merging their wills and speaking collectively. It's a collective consciousness. And who are the silent listeners? The other dolphin, when only one dolphin is speaking, or for that matter, the man. And then anthropomorphism. What does this technique mean? It is the attribution of human qualities to animals. Hence, you find dolphins thinking, feeling, speaking, responding like humans do. A quick look at the literary devices employed. Alliteration is the repetition of consonant sounds in words placed adjacent to each other. Where do we find instances of alliteration in the previous stanzas? Let's take a look. Deepen to dream in. D. Right? See a silver skin. C, S, again silver, again skin. Right? Coming to stanza 4. Is there an instance of alliteration here as well? Of course, there is to, the, this. I'm sure you can locate many more instances of alliteration all on your own. Let us look at repetition. I had already discussed when I was beginning with stanza 3's discussion, and now we are no longer blessed. Simile and metaphor. Simile, silver skin flash by like memory. Simile, as you know, is a comparison of two dissimilar objects because of one common point. And what is the common point here? The silver skin flashing like memory. You see, memory seems to play tricks on us. At times we are sure of what we are able to recall. At times we are not very sure. Right? So it is very transitory. It cannot be relied upon. And finally, metaphor. Well-worn grooves of water on a single note. Enjambment. Pretty much like the first two stanzas, both the stanzas 3 and 4 are big examples of enjambment, which is the carrying over of sense from one line to the other. For instance, for the world will not deepen to dream in. The other knows, and out of love reflects me for myself. You can see that in these first 3 lines, none of the lines end at the literal end of the sentence. In fact, the sentence carries on to the next line. Ditto for stanza 4. We circle well-worn grooves of water on a single note. Music of loss forever from the other's heart, which turns my own to stone. Again, a flowing of sense, a carrying over of the sense. Finally, I come to internal rhyme. My own to stone. What is internal rhyme, children? When a word in the middle of a line, need not be exactly at the middle of a line, rhymes with the word which is at the end of that very same line. So, own and stone. Now, you may feel, and you may correctly feel, that why is there no rhyme as such, right? Why is there so much of enjambment? The reason is, at times rhyme lends a comic appeal to a poem. And as you can see, there is nothing comic. In fact, the whole tone of the poem is sad and depressing, right? It is a clear-cut reminder to all of us to be more concerned towards our fellow creatures. After all, we have a responsibility towards our planet. So let us remember all that the poet Carol Ann Duffy talks about when she highlights the plight of the dolphins in the poem, The Dolphins. That is all for now. I hope the lesson has been clear to you. Stay at home, stay safe, and we'll catch up next time.